Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fractional CTO. First of all, fractions, people are scared of that. Second, CTO, what does that mean? We're going to figure that all out in this show. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros.
Business Bros, are you ready to dive into the dynamic world of technology and its pivotal role in business growth? On today's episode, we're joined by a distinguished expert who wears the hat of a fractional CTO. With a wealth of expertise across various industries and a knack for problem solving, our guest is here to unravel the mysteries of technology, its challenges, and its potential to transform businesses. So in this episode, we're going to explore how technology acts and the common thread weaving through different sectors of healthcare, logistics, and uncovering unexpected synergies along the way. Our guest's journey from being an ex-founder of a custom-developed shop to becoming a trusted advisor to startups and Fortune 100 companies showcases the power of technology leadership. So let's get ready to have this conversation with the demystifying technology guru, providing insight that can help you elevate your business to new heights, Mr. Oshri Cohen. Oshri, thank you for being on the program today, man.
I love that intro, by the way. I love it.
That's what I'm talking about. I got you smiling, man. That's the whole point of this thing. So let's do this. All right, I'm gonna start off with the obvious question. You have an impressive background, technology spanning over 2 decades. Literally, you were like, as I put your website scrolling across the bottom, you're like, not the www. It's not 1995 in here, which means you've been around for quite some time. Can you share a pivotal moment that maybe sparked your passion for this, that got you into this technology space and drove you to this success you've had?
I'm an introvert, believe it or not. I am an introvert, or I was an introvert, not anymore, really, right? And that drove me to software development. I could put my headphones on, listen to some Rammstein, listen to some Tiesto, and just code. And I loved it because with software development, you can literally create anything. Now you can create anything, right? I'm teaching my 9-year-old kid programming so that he can write code to do his homework for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's why should you do your own homework? Have that machine do your homework for you, right? But that's how I got into it. But I've always had a knack for business. I always had a knack for that I was smarter than my boss. And it usually turned out that I was smarter than my boss. And this is not like, I'm not grandstanding or anything like that. It's just with every job, I saw the limits in which how certain people saw their business. And they were limited. And because their vision was limited, and I always saw beyond that, I could never stay in a company for more than 3 years. I've never stayed in any company for more than 3 years. My longest stint, entrepreneurship, always.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that. So you're a fractional CTO, and as I said, like when I first started the program, people don't quite understand that. They hear fractions, and since high school, they freaked out. And then a CTO are 3 letters that is not CEO, and a lot of people are like, "What is those things?" So break it down as simply as you possibly could. What is it that you do? What, as an entrepreneur, how are you generating revenue? What do you sell?
I sell my time. Actually, my time is so hot. You know what? I don't sell my time. My time is way too expensive to sell because in one statement, in one question answered to to any business entrepreneur, whatever it may be, I can save him $100,000 like this because it's technology. You can barrel down the wrong path and make one decision. You have to spend $100K. Easy. That's it. And that's nothing. That's peanuts. You're not even scratching the surface. So I can't actually sell my time. What I do is I sell access to me, right? And so I sell it on a monthly basis. How I make money is I offer access to my experience, my combined experience, my knowledge, the way I solve problems, and so on and so forth at a monthly rate. That's it. Usually, people like to say, but how many hours? I'm like, it doesn't really matter. You can use me for 40 hours that month, but the next month, you're not going to use me for 40 hours. You're going to use me for 1 hour. I don't care. That's the reality. You have me, I'm with you. I'm on Slack all day. My WhatsApp explodes. I have email. I'm all over the place, and I'm answering any number of companies and any number of their teams, and helping them get through whatever problem that they're encountering that day. But apart from that, I also do the technology strategy, because without strategy, without a map of where you're going and what direction, you're just wandering aimlessly, throwing money into the air. So I do that as well. So I come in, I do the strategy, I organize the teams, I organize the people, tell them what technology we're going to put in place, and then let them go ahead and execute it under my watchful eye.
I'm curious because I've talked to a lot of different entrepreneurs who have a business, and I want to put that in quotations because they don't always necessarily have a business. Oftentimes, they tend to own their job, and they don't really understand the difference between the two. You're literally applying processes and procedures using technology to help alleviate some of the time. When you talk to business owners that you're coming in to help, who's your target demographic? Who are you going after? Are you going after that guy that wears all the hats? Are you going after that mid cap? Are you going after that Fortune 100? Who's your target audience?
My bread and butter is small businesses between $5 million and $50 million in revenue per year. More than 50 million, you have a dedicated engineering team. You're already in technology. You've got it, right? Because a proper engineering team is going to cost you $2 to $5 million a year to operate anyways, a real decent one. You're already in technology, you're good. Below that, you may not be spending that kind of money. You're a manufacturer, you're in marketing, you're in accounting, you're legal. You're going to need software one way or another. You may need custom software that you need to build, because you're not going to find some, commercial off-the-shelf software for analyzing your legal whatever it is. You might have to build it, because that's your competitive advantage. As soon as you want to do that without technical leadership, you might as well take that money and burn it. That's because there's so much that you don't know. And that's actually one of the root causes of the problem, right? I'm actually writing a book, and I'm going to segue a little bit into that, right? So I'm writing a book to explain to everyone, you, mother, grandparents, whatever it is, how software is actually built. Because nobody really knows the process in which to build software.
I have no idea.
Most people know how a house is built. You've seen it. You've driven by. Hey, that's a foundation. That's kind of cool. Let me sit down. Oh, they're laying that concrete. Oh, look at that. There's load bearing. You've heard load bearing, gyps, and there's that, paint. You get it. You know nothing about technology, right? Even though it runs all of our lives. All of your students right there probably have an iPhone or an Android. They're using some of their favorite apps, social media. No idea how it's built. The complexities behind it. It slows down, and they're like, oh, this is garbage. Even though the complexity behind it is so massive, we can allow it to be slow from time to time, right? And so because the general public does not have this knowledge, they need people like us to come in and advise them and help them. But the one thing I don't do, I will not build it for you. I will not bring in developers, and you will pay me for those developers to build it for you. I am beyond reproach. If I give you advice, it is for you, to benefit you, not to benefit me. You're already paying me. That's it. That's my ICP is.
Yeah, let me ask you about the building of a lot of those technologies, because you're absolutely right. Like, things are getting a lot easier when it comes to operating as a human being, using things like AI and technology, but we don't really know how it works. It reminds me of like the Matrix. They're standing on the edge and they're like, look at that water machine. Like, we know it's useful, we know we need it, but have no idea how it works, right? And that's kind of how I feel most people are in this industry. So let me ask you, if you were, I mean, you said you have a 9-year-old and you're teaching him how to code, you're teaching him how to basically get his homework done building software, which, by the way, you need to understand how the homework works for the software to work. So it's a win-win right there. But that being said, I got a lot of 17-year-old kids here who maybe it's not college that they want to go to, but they want to get into a field where they can get in, learn something quickly, and start to apply it. What are some of the skill sets necessary to do some of the things that you do, or to be in that tech space where they can not stock up a ton of school debt, but still be able to earn a significant living?
So the reality is that most amazing. Okay, so you've got two different kinds of software developers. You've got the software developer and you got the software engineer. Two different worlds. The software engineer is the guy or the gal who's going to run the operating system. They're going to write Windows for you. They're in the basement at Microsoft writing code that's cryptic, that's basically Aramaic. You don't understand it. It's complicated. It requires a science degree to really get there, right? I could do it, but I probably wouldn't be that good at it. Then you've got the software developers. Those are everybody else. Those are the ones who are actually putting everything together, putting the software together, right? Accessing the database and so on and so forth. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you could go to school for 4 years, do your computer science degree, get out, and you will know basically zero on how software is built. You will know the science of software development. Great. You know, if you're building a house, you know the science of that brick and how much weight it can handle. Excellent. But you have no idea how to lay the damn brick with the mortar properly and everything. You don't know that. You still need this. That skill is not taught in schools. No school teaches it as far as to my knowledge so far. No school teaches this. And so those developers, self-taught. You could learn software development properly in about a year and then get a job. It's not that complicated. Now, it's a slither. And then every day and every week and every month for the next decade, you're going to expand on your knowledge and you're going to grow and grow from software development to databases to architecture and grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I went to school, and for 15 years, I did every night. I studied continuously for an hour to 2 hours every single night. And I still do that. Not so much anymore. Not since I had kids. They take all my time. But yeah, that's it. It's over. You know, by the way, kids, go thank your parents. Seriously, don't be like that. Just, just go give your mother a high five. I don't care if you're not going to hug them. But, that's the...
He ain't lying.
Yes, that's right? So that's the reality of software development. You actually don't need a degree. Most startups that you will want to work at will not ask you for a degree, as long as you know what you're talking about and you can prove it. So a 17-year-old out there really wants to get into it, I'd say take a look at your favorite app, take a look at your favorite website, ESPN, whatever it is. Go build it. Build a copy of it. That's it. You know how it works. You've got an example. Go build it. Go build a variant of Facebook or Instagram. Go learn. Pick up a book. There's classes online. YouTube. Basically, you can learn for free entirely. 100% for free. So go ahead and do it, because that's where you're going to get the actual modern knowledge.
You mean actually do the work, actually apply yourself for a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a little bit of effort. It's going to take a lot of practice, but you're going to develop the skills over time. Yeah. And it's something that's not really talked about in schools, to go get an internship, to go through YouTube University and kind of learn something and apply yourself. But you've worked with a lot of different companies, and there's some CEOs who have really high education levels, and then there's some that never even finished up a college degree, and they're successful beyond belief, but they're all educated. And I think that's kind of the difference here that doesn't get talked about. It's that education continues regardless of whether it's a formal one where you're going to a 4-year university, or like you're saying, you're going 1 to 2 hours a day and you're applying yourself to learn something specific. The application of education is valuable nonetheless. So let me ask you about your experience. Do you have any stories or any case studies of people that you've encountered with where maybe they were struggling and a fractional CTO kind of gave them that idea or the solutions that they needed?
Oh my gosh, that's my entire business, right? That's my entire business. Sometimes I coach CTOs themselves and I work with them. I'm a fractional CTO for a company with a CTO for the CTO, right? Well, because I come in with 20 years of experience. I've seen in the last 2 years alone, I've seen 46 clients. In the last 2 years, right? I've served 46 different clients across 5 different industries. That exposure alone, I can solve problems across the board. I've had a client that was an accounting firm, one that was a legal firm, one that was a marketing firm. And so guess what? Most of their problems are solved by the same solutions. And so I can come in and listen to your problem, extrapolate what the solution needs to be, and present it with confidence because I've put it in place at some point. That's the difference.
What are some of those common problems that you see across the board? I mean, a lot of it, I feel like you're right. Once you've gone in 10, 20, 30, 46 times or whatever it is over a couple of years, you tend to see patterns amongst these entrepreneurs. So what are those common threads that you see that now it's like second nature? Like, let me implement this, this, and this.
So the most common problems, partly technology, partly organizational. So let's start with the organizational because that's the most common problem. An entrepreneur has a great idea, hires a developer, thinks that the developer can do everything. Well, that's like hiring a plumber to build your house. They may have the experience and they may have seen how it's done and they could do it. It's possible, but they're not going to do a very good job. And at some point, you're going to wear them thin. Like there's only so much that they can do, they can achieve as a human, right? So that's organizational. Or they'll hire 5 developers. Well, you know how much a developer costs? It's $150K a year. A half decent development, not even the best, right? By the way, 17-year-olds, software developer after about 15 years can pull about $250K a year. That's not bad at all, right? You're making more than a doctor at that point with no education. Just letting you know, okay? If you're smart about it. But so from an organizational point of view, if you have just a bunch of developers working together, they're not building a product. Right? You need technical leadership to come in and say, this is how we're going to put this together. That's the reality. So this is a big message for, again, the 17-year-olds in the room as well. If you come into a job, there's no technical leadership. Who's your CTO? Who's your director of engineering, VP of engineering? Do you have someone who's beating the drum? No. Run like hell. Just close the browser, end the meeting. Just kill it right away. Don't even bother. You're wasting your time. You're going to learn all the wrong things. The other problem is from the technology side. They don't put in the right technology at the right time. So engineers, software developers, we are problem solvers. We want to solve problems, and we want to solve them elegantly, and we want to solve problems for the long term. So I used to think like that. Early in my career, I would design solutions that would survive 10 years. Because in my mind, that makes total sense. You build it, let's grow it, and let's make sure it survives for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But now is very different. 10, 15 years ago, I learned this lesson. And now I design software that can evolve rapidly over the next 10 years. Completely different. And so this is one of the problems that we see. Companies call me, my engineering team is slowing down, my engineering team isn't building the right stuff, whatever it is. Okay, let me take a look. And lo and behold, either organizationally they're off, or technologically, they built the craziest systems that have no business value whatsoever because they thought that's what would be needed.
we have AI kind of emerging here, and it's taking over a lot of the individual processes. And it came to my attention when you were saying you're building software that's going to evolve over the next 10 years. And I feel like with AI, we're seeing a lot of technology evolving, whether we're talking about the simplest of AIs, which is like ChatGPT. It's evolving as we use it, as we give it more data points, as it learns more and more, it's becoming better and better. I was watching this show on Netflix called Suits, and they have this little AI thing, and it's called the Donna, right? And the problem was it had nice little smart remarks as a secretary, but it didn't show compassion. But the more data points it got, all of a sudden it evolved as well. When you talk about evolving technology and helping the business owner kind of evolve with it, what do you mean by that evolution of technology so that it can evolve over 10 years? What is it that you're looking at software today that's kind of making that a necessity?
So when an architect designs a commercial building, 80 stories, right? They design it in such a way that in the inside you can move walls around. There's load bearing rungs in the exact place where it's supposed to be. You've got the bathrooms and so on for the pipes and so on. Everything comes into place at the right. It's all in the right location, right? So that the individual floors can be moved around. Nobody's going to move the elevator. Nobody's going to move the major pipes or the major electrical or the load-bearing walls. But they will evolve. They will evolve the inside for different uses. So when we build software, we architect it in such a way and saying, okay, we know we are building this e-commerce website to support 1,000 transactions an hour. Pretty damn good. Not bad at all, right? However, we want 100,000 transactions an hour, not 1,000. So how do we design it in such a way that when we do need to get to that point, we evolve it to 100,000? And we do so effortlessly with a little bit more work. Because to design something for 100,000 transactions an hour is going to take us 6 months of engineering work. But to do it for 1,000 transactions an hour might take us a month. So if we finish something in a month, we start making money right away. If we spend 6 months doing something, we don't make any money, the business is in trouble, right? And then we still don't know if we will ever reach 100,000, that the unit, the KPI of 100,000 orders per hour.
You're attacking the most viable product up front, so you know where the cash flow can be in the short term, but you're building a framework so that you can build out the larger goal without much effort after that. You're replicating a process that's already in place.
Exactly. Here's another tidbit that I learned. Then this is for the 17-year-olds in the room, and probably most other people who want to level their career in any way, shape, or form. Follow the money. Follow the money. First thing I ask a client is, how do you make money? Not what technology you have him talk to me. No. How does money get into your bank account? Walk me through in detail. Because by knowing where the money is, the flow of money, also known as the value chain, right? I will know where engineering dollars need to be focused on. And anything further and further away from that gets less and less budget. That's the key.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's now thinking with future in mind. That's perfect. I mean, that's how a business should be operating. And I guess based on our conversation today, the organization and the vision for that isn't always there in place, which is what you come in and kind of help them see through some strategy planning sessions. All right, well, let me ask you, if people want to reach out to you, they're like, look, this guy can definitely set me up. We don't have a strategy. Our vision's kind of lacking. I need some help with this sort of stuff. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, and what can they expect when they do?
So my website, right? Or on LinkedIn, look up Oshri Cohen. There's really only one or two guys, right? In terms of on LinkedIn. So on my website, if you drop me a message, I'll answer within 24 hours. If you drop me a message on LinkedIn, I'll answer you probably within 15 minutes if it's between 9 and 5. I try to not work after 5 o'clock, family time. But what you can expect is, first we'll have a 30-minute call, get to know each other. I'll tell you sweet nothings. You'll tell me sweet nothings. It's the first date. Everyone sounds amazing. Great. I'm an astronaut. I skydive, the whole thing, right? But date number 2 is going to be a 1 to 2 hour session for free with me. We're going to solve a real problem together. Because in my business approach is hire me is a decision of hell yes or not at all. You want me so badly, you can't wait. That's the thing. And you're going to follow up with me for the quote almost, or for the proposal. It's like, Oshri, where is it? We want to get started. Because we've solved a problem together and you already know how I approach things. So I'm not the cheapest. I'm almost the most expensive in the industry, but that's because I'm really damn good at what I do and I do it really, really fast.
And you're showing the value up front. Literally, it's like, look, we're gonna start our first date. By the second date, I'm gonna show you exactly what I can do. I'm gonna help you get there, and you're just gonna want more, right? Give them a little bit of taste, and they're gonna want to come back for more.
Exactly.
That's like homemade apple pies, man. You take a taste, a free sample, and you just gotta buy the whole damn pie. That's how it works. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I got one more. Well, any final thoughts before we head out?
If for the students in the room is, if you're thinking, oh, I need to build a mega business, I need to build this crazy SaaS that's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars a year, what I would tell you is to bring down your ambition. Most people will tell you have limitless ambition, but the reality is you're going to burn out really early on if your ambition is so massive. It is insane. The reality is that most people need $300,000 to $400,000 a year of revenue, and they're happy, and they're rich. You're basically rich. There's no way about it. If you have very minimal debt, you're rich, right? Achieving that with a couple of apps, a couple of web applications, a small business, totally doable. That's it.
I love it.
So
I love that because you're exactly right. I've actually been thinking about doing an activity with my students here where they have to spend $30,000 a month in their lifestyle, and just to see what happens after a while, because that's at $360 a year. And you're exactly right. At that point, you start realizing, well, like, do I really need all this? It's nice to have, but at a certain point, like, you don't have to make $1 million a year. You realize really quick, it's actually a doable dollar amount, and it's right there within reach with any of these small businesses. All right, Oshri, one last thing, man. You're in the technology space. I'm in the podcast space. Literally, I help businesses create automations like text mails, emails, workflows, the sort of stuff that you're into. So your opinion from when you signed up to the show to where you got our emails, and then now you've created a 30-minute segment with us of creating content. What was your experience like working with the Business Bros?
I love it. One of the few organizations I've ever worked with that actually sent me notifications and updates on a regular basis, right? And not in such a way that was incessant and annoying. It was properly timed. Every couple of days I got something and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you also did this. Oh, I didn't know you also did that. This is actually very, very nice and very clean approach. So yes, fantastic.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, look, I get it. You're in business and you're struggling. You got some sort of plateau and you're stuck. It's probably because you're missing some of the core concepts in your business. You don't have an attention mechanism. You don't have a way to build a database. You don't have a way to make a sale online. And lastly, you don't have a method to extract cash from the lifetime value of your clients. So if you guys need help, make sure you guys reach out, oshricohen.me. He's literally here to help you with your processes and put those systems in place to help your business grow. Oshri, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Have a nice day.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.